Okay. No problem.
I'll provide you the beginning of the video so you can publish it.
All set? Thank you, Ross.
I'd like to make a motion that item 5, we need to remove that from the agenda. It wasn't properly published, hasn't been in the past either. There's 2 case studies that specifically refer to the 8E, both of which, one, when examining MCL 152671, MCL 15268E, and MC 15269 together, it is clear legislator intended the public bodies to name the pending litigation before entering a closed session. It's supposed to be published prior to us entering that. I can give you another case study. That one was Vermillion versus Delta. Again, here's another one. We're examining MC 267, 15267-1, 15226E. Together is clear. Both of these said the same thing. Legislature said it's very clear that you have to name what the litigation is clearly and who it's for. You can't just put, we're going to enter it for litigation purposes. And it has to be properly posted. I've got those case studies, Chuck, if you'd like them printed right here for you.
Chuck? Yeah.
I didn't see what's on it, just says closed session.
It's to discuss litigation. It needs to dig litigation, what litigation we were discussing. Should have been included in that line item when it was sent out in the packet.
Then I would tell,
Chuck, speak in the mic so the,
I would put it on for the next agenda.
Can't hear you.
Again, I just requested to be removed from this one, is all at this point.
so that it'll be posted correctly?
Correct.
Okay, then.
What was wrong with it? Him and the posting?
It has to clearly state what the litigation is. It can't just say litigation. It's been incorrect for the last, I don't know how many years that they went into closed
It
session.
actually has to cite
Yes.
this.
Yeah, it's been in violation of the Open Meeting Act every time they did with a closed session for at least the last 4 years I know of.
Let's just remove it from the agenda, we'll put it on, and we'll get it corrected.
Well, we'll have to have a vote on it. I
Oh.
made a motion to remove.
Support.
Chuck, before we vote on that, I need to hear from you.
I think that's a good idea for tonight.
Okay,
I will, just to take it off tonight and then put it on the next agenda, and I will double check on what he's citing.
I'll be happy to hand these to you if you want, Chuck. Here's both case studies with the litigation and what the outcome was of it. Save you some time having to try to look.
Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
All right, can we get a vote then to remove that?
Yes?
And,
Yes.
Hi.
yes,
Aye.
Aye, yes.
okay, so that's off the agenda for tonight. All right, any other changes to the agenda?
Make a
Then,
motion to accept as modified.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? All right. Approval of the consent agenda. Minutes of the January 7th.
Are you going one by one or just as a package? Because I had a question about the third one. So,
Well, let's look at questions on each one. Any questions on the regular?
No.
Any questions on the treasurer's report?
No.
Any questions on the clerk's warrants and bills?
Yes.
And what is that, Craig?
On the check register, I think that's under the clerk's, well, Jennifer's not here, but if somebody else knows, perhaps. There's two entries, one for a Shoemaker Services, Inc., for $1,120, that's SHOE Maker. And there's another one, Shoemaker Technology Group, that's SHUMAKER, for $3,995. I'm not sure what.
They're two separate companies. One is for snow removal for
So the
our
first
parking lot.
Shoemaker, like
Yes,
shoe,
and
is for snow
For
removal.
snow removal for our parking lot.
Okay.
And for an SAD. The second one that you see, the technology group, that is for our website.
The website. Are
Yes.
these monthly fees then?
No,
Or
this is the technology group, the $39.95. That is for all of last year up to, was it October?
Okay, so a big part of the year, then it's.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes,
Well, I just
yeah.
wanted to make sure, since it was a monthly report, I
So-
didn't know if it.
Yeah.
So let me understand, that approximately 4,000 is for a quarter?
No, that's for the entire 3/4 of the year.
Oh, 3/4?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
And-
okay.
And for.
Good.
It's
yeah.
improving
Yeah.
as we
Yeah,
speak.
it's getting better and better. This is good.
Well, this was, they had not billed us
Okay.
at all since the new website was created. And so this is all of that cost,
All right,
as well as 3/4 of the year.
okay. I saw some early entries around $1,200 to $1,400 very early on when we first engaged them, but that's why the jump just made me question. So I just thank you for the
Yeah,
clarification.
well,
on that.
there wasn't Shoemaker Technology charges other than aside for our licensing agreements, which is now done under our IT.
Okay.
So that's what you've seen, but this is a completely different
Different.
charge.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Thanks for the
Yes.
explanation. I
And
appreciate
so
it.
as you see on this check register, this is something that I print out, that it's a clerk's warrants and bills.
Yep,
And so all of these charges, these are the bills that I pay each month.
perfect. All right, thank you very much.
So they're not only necessarily a monthly bill, it's just what was paid the month.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That was it for me, Greg, on that. So,
All right, all set? All right, well then, I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, all three items under it.
so moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And oppose? All right, communications. Are there any questions in the monthly financial?
I had one question, but since Jennifer's not here, I'll email her directly to see if I can get it answered. And it's about our contingency percentage for cash on hand, but I'll defer that question.
All right, how about planning commission meeting synopsis? Planning commission approved minutes? Are we all set there?
Yep.
All right, Livingston County Sheriff Report. I do have something I would like to say. I was looking at the, all 13 townships in the county, and I noticed that the sheriff response time for our township is the best of all 13. Thank you, guys. 21 minutes. 21 minutes. The next closest township is 26 minutes. So, way to go, you guys. Now, that is the contract time that they're on. The non-contract time, we're in the middle of the pack. Not so good, but still, a great job, guys. Thank you. Where's Ryan, Josh? Oh, all right. Thank you, Ryan. All right, I am looking for a motion, unless there's any other questions or comments, for approval on communications.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So moving on to public comments. And please state your name.
Yes, sir.
Yes, because the video
Oh, understood.
audience can't hear you if you don't.
Thank you. My name is Brad Swartz. I live over on Linden Road here in Tyrone Township. My comment today is regarding, I do watch the videos at home. I got 2 young boys, and so I'm going to leave right after this public comment. But I like to put to bed at night, which is why it upsets me I have to come up here in the first place on such a snowy, nasty evening. But I heard some grumblings at the end of last meeting, as much of a, whether it was grumbling, something formal, something that might be in the works, I'm not sure. But it's to speak to Chris Rapetta and the removal of him from the planning commission. What I understand is you're the liaison from the board to the planning commission, is that correct?
Yeah, ex officio.
Okay, ex officio, okay.
It's a formal term.
I've got to say, in the, 5, 6 years I've lived here, both Chris and his wife are, I would say,
You-
officio.
You gotta make it quick, Brad, because
I
I don't
apologize.
believe this is
Yep.
part of, first public need to be the, regards to the agenda, correct?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
I just wanted to go on record and say that I feel safer having Chris be on the planning commission, having him be the liaison from the board.
All right.
There. And,
Thank you.
That's all. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Procedure.
yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other public comments regarding the agenda? We got 2. Hang on.
Greg, I
Sorry.
don't know if that microphone's on or not.
I don't know. It's not on?
Yeah, turn it on.
It's not on.
Could we,
How do I turn it on? Just switch it on there. I'll do it there.
Let's do a sound check. There you go.
Hi, I've been watching the videos too. What a disgrace the 3 people who are censored are. And on the agenda, I highly recommend the training because they're, for you 3 that are in trouble. What a horrible representation of the township. You guys are fodder for the hotline. And so is the guy who said he eliminated the cats. Thank you.
anybody else? Jeanette?
So I guess we can talk about anything, not just what's
Nah.
on the agenda?
No.
Okay.
Try
You
and,
need to
Apparently.
stop it then, please. My name's Jeanette, and I would like to address the ongoing issues on Hogan Road, which is on the agenda tonight.
okay,
Caused by the gravel pit traffic, for one thing, and problems that residents have been bringing up for years. The traffic is out of control, signage is unclear or missing, and I know that because I just drove it again last night in the snow. And accidents, including a tragic death, have made this road dangerous. On top of that, residents are living with constant dust, noise, and a diminished quality of life. I really would like everyone on the board to just imagine yourself sitting out on your patio, on your deck, and going back into your house on a beautiful day in the summer, but you can't stay out there because you're being bombarded with dust and noise. And I did make a video of it, and it's horrible what goes on there. The 3 returning board members have heard these concerns over and over during the last administration, and yet nothing was done, so it's time for the new administration to take action. If the solution isn't in your jurisdiction, then why don't we petition the county or the state or whoever is responsible for it? I'd like to see our board advocate for the people you represent. They shouldn't feel ignored or forced to move away just to escape these conditions. And I talked to a young man who lived on that road. Last year was talking to him about the problems. He ended up selling and moving out of the township. And he said to me, I can't trust that my township would do anything to help us with this problem. So he sold his home and he moved. This board has an opportunity to show real leadership on an issue that has been ignored for far too long, and I really believe it's time to act. Again, I ask you all to imagine what this would be like, investing money in a place and thinking that your life is going to be spent here, and then having your comments and concerns continually ignored. And so I hope that you'll all work together to try and do something about the situation.
Okay, Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. I asked Mr. Fisher, the attorney for the gravel pits, about the situation on Hogan Road, because there was, we determined that the application process might go through Eagle. So Kevin told us that Eagle was out checking all the dust, doing tests, and they said the tests come back positive. Well, I felt that that's a conflict of interest, that Eagle's going to give out the application and come down and do all the testing. So I asked Mr. Fisher, shouldn't we get our own independent investigation? And Mr. Fisher said yes. He recommended it. Chris, I think you remember that.
Yeah.
So
Mr.
I
Fisher's
think,
on too with us.
yeah.
He's on as well, so he's listening.
Yeah, I know. So I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
And I said, I think we owe these residents on this street the process of getting a good, solid health and welfare test on what's damage is doing to the houses, the lawns, and their health. So I think we owe it to them to get that independent check. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right. We will move into unfinished business. You have anything? We'll move right into to new business then. And the number one item here, workshop for board members to learn to work together as a team. Do I have any comments about that from the board?
As the resident said, and I believe, I called the city of Fenton, I called 7 different places to have this meeting, and the city of Fenton agreed to let us use their conference room for free on that day. So that saved money right there, anywhere from $200 to $700 for a full day. The city of Fenton will allow it for free. So,
I guess I'll speak a minute, just because I put together the slides that are in the packet. And Greg, you and Jennifer and I had that recorded Zoom that was shared with the rest of the board and Mr. Bender, just to better understand the work that he does. He works all over the state with municipalities to try to help boards like ours establish ground rules that everyone can come to the table and agree upon and improve efficiency. And I know this board has gotten off to a really rough start, but I don't think there's any board member here that doesn't have the best interest of the township at heart. And I think we're all going to be very disappointed if we accomplish nothing because we can't communicate and we can't figure out how to work together. And so to me, I know, Greg, I've heard you say that you had a great deal of value in education and training. You and I share that. I think there's been a lot of wasted time and spending in the last 2 months over conflict. If we're going to invest in something, I think it should be something proactive that's going to help us figure out how to sit down and figure out what goals we have for this community and get to work. So that's just my personal hope which is why this is the resource I found that was highly regarded, used by numerous municipalities in the surrounding areas. And so I guess I don't know how other people are feeling and what you're aiming for, but I'm opening up that discussion.
Comment?
Yeah, I'll definitely go if you, I have a few
Well,
comments.
go ahead, I'll close.
If you want to go, okay.
I'm going to close.
All right. Well, I'm going to pose this item because I have some really strong reasons to do so. I've attended many workshops like this in my global role over the years. Matter of fact, this same one, at least twice that I know of in my 37-year career. And this is an older type of workshop. There's three primary reasons, and I'll get to the point. One, team building workshops are not necessarily the solution, especially with regard to what the experts say. We have Mark Muley, who's a project management expert. The most popular model of team development doesn't actually do what it says. The stages are not linear, clear, consistently followed, proportional in time, nor anywhere near as well-defined as the model presumes. Studies by the Defense Acquisition University found that only 2% of teams actually followed Tuckman's stages in sequence. Most teams experience dynamics that are far more complex and nonlinear. And the conflict doesn't get resolved in a workshop. It does require open, honest conversations, of course. I agree with that. But these sessions can't provide conflict resolution. I think that workshops can also make things worse, and if they're designed to be consensus building, consensus is not something that necessarily leads from a healthy township board. Without differences of opinion that where people have, it's very difficult to understand or try to agree. And the goal for this particular training, in my experience, is about consensus building and not solving the problem of mistrust and things of that nature. So these sessions encourage groupthink. Groupthink is very much prevalent here, and it desires for agreement outweighs critical thinking and better decision making. And I do disagree with the presumption that if we don't come together through this training or some sort of training that we can't function as a team. We can absolutely function as a team. We are here to discuss the sides of all issues that are out there, and that's going to require us to have conflict. Conflict will be part of this. You cannot eliminate it in that sense. So I don't think it's a responsible spend today of the taxpayer dollars, the $3,500 that are on the table. They're really not designed to solve the conflicts, and we have to solve the conflicts in this township first before addressing this kind of a workshop. And I think we have serious conflict right now going on with the censure resolutions. That has to be really overcome before we do anything else. I don't see this as being the solution to this problem. I've experienced this training before. It doesn't provide the critical thinking, and it focuses more on groupthink and building consensus, which is not what we're here to do. So,
What solutions do you propose, Chris?
well, I propose, first of all, not creating conflict unnecessarily. That would be the first one. And the idea of the getting over the censor resolutions and getting a full vetting of our letter in the next meeting is a good place to start. And then we'll take it from there.
How do you propose that we work on building trust? Do you have any ideas or thoughts on that? Is there anything that you've seen out there that can help us?
I will absolutely make very solid recommendations once we're beyond this initial trust issue.
I know that the censure is not really what we're talking about here, and I know that it does factor into this discussion, right? And the ability to move forward. I'm just gonna remind you that that came from actions that the three of you took that put us in that position. So it's not that it is personal, it is not that, certainly not something I wanted to be dealing with out of the gate either. So.
We have
We
some
do have
work
to
ahead
figure
of
that
us.
out. We do.
Yes, we do.
As far as my opinion of it, I quite honestly was waiting to see whether they would be willing to talk about the letter from our attorney on this censure. If they'd have been willing to do that, I might have been more willing, but they've proven quite distinctly that they do not want to work with the shed, or they would have listened, we would have had a discussion on the letter from our attorney. By turning that down, it tells me they only want to work with us if we do what they want. I'm not willing to do that, I'm sorry.
I don't think that's true. And I think in the spirit of transparency, it is appropriate that we provide documentation in every board packet for every topic of discussion. And so that would be the proper way to do that.
And
The goal was, Mr. Repetta, you wanted it published. It will be published as documentation supporting our agenda. So it's not that we're not willing to work or have that conversation, just not now. In the spirit of transparency, that's a public document we must share.
And again, when that gets published, we have the discussion, I may feel differently that you guys are willing to work, and then I may be more apt to be willing to discuss the team building.
Because
That's my perfect point, and that's what my point was. When you
I appreciate your point
Yeah.
and that, and there are several things that we do need to discuss, and communication is part of that. You yourself, Mr. Haas, you informed me that you couldn't be emailed, or that you could be emailed, but you have no computer to check your email, and that we cannot contact you through your phone. Mr. Repetta, you said likewise. How can we communicate with you?
Email.
And that's an issue that we
That's what
need.
Chuck said last meeting. He said the email, township email
Right.
is the best way to do board communications, and
Right.
we've satisfied that.
Right, but if there's an emergency in the township, we have to be able to get a hold of you. You know, if the supervisor needs support.
Hey,
for
look, you guys voted down
You know,
issuing cell phones and any other devices to get a hold of us.
and so, well, we've provided you with the emails.
Yep.
But as I said, Mr. Haas stated he doesn't have a computer, he can't check his email. So, in the spirit of working together as a team and communicating, we have to get past those issues. And so, you know, I'm a little offended that you're saying, we don't want to work with you. I do want to work with you. I have no issues working with you, but we have to be able to communicate. That's a starting point right there, is communication.
So far, have you had any issue getting any information that was necessary for me to have?
No,
Thank you.
but you're skipping the point. If there's an emergency, if I send you a letter in the mail or email, you're not going to see that. So,
Can we get back on topic?
well, this is part of the topic.
Well, it's-
Conversation.
And we had a
communicating.
long conversation, because I told you exactly what I would do to try to make that easier. I told you I'd stop on my way home from work 2-3 times a week. You're only open 4 days a week. I thought that was
All right.
resolved.
I would just like to close on this item number 1. I've been thinking about this for quite some time, and obviously. And the voters, they voted for people they thought could all work together. And so I have a really hard time asking them to pay for our training so that we can work together. And so I am proposing that the only way I can really support this is if all 7 of us pay for it out of our pocket. $3,500 divided by 7 is an easy number, $500 apiece. I will support it if you all want to pay $500 apiece out of your pocket to do this training. I don't want to put the put that burden on the residents. I think it's
not-
unfair.
It's not 500, it's 500 plus my day away from my job that I don't get paid for. So it's a lot more than just
Yeah.
500, but I'm not worried about the money as much as the principle and the effectiveness of the training.
I understand that, Chris.
Just to let you know.
I'm just telling you where I'm coming from.
Sure.
What about when we were in the Zoom call that was recorded and you stated we couldn't do this fast enough? And you,
I don't think you heard me. I've been thinking about this for quite some time, since the Zoom call. And I just do not think it's fair to put the burden of this on people who voted for you, thinking we could all work together. That's unfair. It's unfair to them.
the taxpayers have been burdened with excessive legal fees, Greg, with now 2 trustees and a supervisor threatening to sue the township. Is that
I am not in that lawsuit.
responsible use?
There you go. There you go,
You're
saying stuff
named?
that's not true.
You're named in the last paragraph unless I misread that.
I am not part of that lawsuit. I have not even talked to that attorney. I've never even met him. I am in the
The
letter.
letter clearly states, representing Chris.
Okay,
We've
I
already-
Again, you're misrepresenting things.
I don't need you to yell at me,
I-
okay?
We've
I
already-
misunderstood because maybe you aren't aware that you are named in the last paragraph, and that is on me. We will further discuss it at the next meeting, but my point is, if we're concerned about taxpayer dollars,
We
we
are.
have to talk about
We
the
should be.
big picture here, the big picture.
We sure
Because
do.
if taxpayers are thinking about how their tax dollars are spent, it's either gonna be in this spiral of conflict and legal battles, or it's gonna be working toward making things better. And Chris, if you have better resources than this, by all means, please, bring them to the table. So what do we table this until Jennifer's back? Vote? What do you wanna do?
I would say we need to table it, because, it's her $500 I'm asking for too, so.
Just on a side note of that, training is paid for by the township. And so I just want to add that in there, that this is training. So from that perspective, it differs from your opinion right there.
Okay,
It,
that's well taken.
you took some training with MTA that was paid for by taxpayer dollars. Any training that any board member or planning commission member or, elected official in the office takes, that is covered by the township.
I make a motion, we table this. We've got a gentleman waiting who has important township business that we need to do for another time.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to item 2.
All right, thanks.
Hold on. Ross, is there something we need to do to get Mr. Fisher online for, this is the Hogan Road thing, right? That's what we're discussing?
He should be there and available.
Can you hear us, Mr. Fisher?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right,
Perfect. Just want to make sure.
Thanks.
all right. Hogan Road, discussion.
Yes, so let me introduce the topic since I was the one who asked for it. As the ex officio to the Planning Commission, the topic of Hogan Road came up during the extractive industrial discussions and ordinance talk with which Mr. Fisher has kindly contributed his time and value in helping the Planning Commission craft. And so the Planning Commissioner, the chairman, Mr. Ward, indicated that a discussion about Hogan Road truck route needed to be handled at the board. So I took that as the ex officio to get this on the agenda for discussion here at the board, since that was not something he said that the Planning Commission would discuss or take care of. So that's why we're here. a couple of things, and thank you for Ross and Pam for putting in the documentation that talks about the legal grounds of the truck route's existence going back to 2002 at least. So I appreciate that. And with regard to court order at the time for what appears to be a company called Spring Aggregate, which I understand no longer owns that mining facility today. It's another company called GBH, thank you very much. So in bringing this together, a couple things that I thought I would just try to keep in my introduction here is I'm really interested. We're not here to break a court order. If the court says we have to have a truck route, we have a truck route. We do have, in reviewing ordinance number 38, we have lots of truck routes in the township. So we possibly need to get the planning commission to readdress the truck routes because there's at least 5 of them. So, and not really reflective of what we have and could expose us to additional problems with the gravel pit going in Heartland at Denton Hill and Holtzford. So we really need some work there. But the key would be here is to try to understand if there's something else we can do to reassess the situation. The court order may just be related to establishing the truck route. So that's something we have to validate. Even if it can't be challenged, it's a truck route, period. We do things, there's other things like speed limit enforcement, and is it optional to pave? And I'm not suggesting that any of these are things that I would support, but maybe we need to look at engaging an expert in extractive industrial and probably truck routes, Mr. Fisher's, who's here with us. So even in this discussion is to potentially have Mr. Fisher, he's done an excellent job for us on the ordinance, look at this whole landscape of information, including I mean, you are an attorney, Mr. Fisher, so that might be of some assistance. It's not, so that's part of the discussion. And see if we can at least understand what the finalities of the things we can and cannot do. I know that my wife and I drove Hogan Road last night. We have truck route signs that are marked with 30-mile-an-hour speed limits on every truck, except for one. We know that the one nearest to Old 23 doesn't have it, but there's a 25-mile-an-hour sign. So we know there's a truck speed limit, but there's questions about that because what do they do if they don't follow it and things of that nature. All of these particular things, there's an opportunity for us to go beyond just the fact that there's a court order making it a truck route to see what we can do to help the residents out. And that's what I'd like to just introduce as far as this topic. Your thoughts on the board?
Is there a reason this guy's on the line? Why is he on the line? Is he the expert?
He is an expert.
Can we hear from him?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he is.
Okay, I'd like to hear
As a
from
matter
him.
of fact, he is.
Okay, I'd like to hear from him.
He's right here.
Okay.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I have, Ross sent me the 2002 court order, and I did hear, I had the benefit of hearing some of the comments made at the last meeting, at the planning commission meeting, and so it gave me a little bit of insight on things. I also had the opportunity to go online and at Google Maps and look at the situation, and it looks like part of the road is paved and part of it is not paved, and my understanding that this manufactured housing project has ballooned up to some degree, putting more traffic on the road, and you have this order that somewhat complicates things, but maybe provides a good runway for landing on this topic. If you look at the law, the law, state law, and it's part of the traffic code, basically gives both the township and the county road commission the authority to establish reasonable regulations for truck routes. And looking at the court order gives respect to the ordinances of both townships that you have that pass through Tyrone Township from Deerfield Township, your neighbor, and I know that reading the order, there is reference to an earlier permit called an interim permit that the road commission issued. I don't know whether that's been updated. My assumption is that it has been updated, and that's something to determine as part of an investigation. But the really interesting thing about the state law is that it doesn't designate that the road commission has full authority or that the township has full authority. It basically calls for a cooperative effort between the two entities. And so, I mean, my thought is what is needed here is, as indicated in the preliminary discussion, is that some investigation needs to be done to essentially establish what the situation is here in the township based upon the current conditions. Now, you couldn't do that very well right now probably because the trucks aren't running. So you may have to wait until the gravel mining season opens up.
Well, they're running right now. They're running.
Well, they might be running, but they may not be running at full capacity.
Yeah, true. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I think the construction season calls for more traffic. Road building calls for more traffic. Sand and gravel traffic and all that kind of thing. And but that would provide some opportunity to find the right person to do the investigation and get some facts. And it sounds like there are some very, very relevant facts here that are somewhat compelling that some relief is needed. Now you have the order, and it isn't a matter of needing to follow the order as it is, because I mean that order is 20 plus years old, entered at a different time, so to speak, and in the court rules, as your attorney has mentioned to you, the court rules contemplate the possibility of modifying this type of court order. I think the likelihood of success in a modification like that would require first having the township go to the road commission after doing an investigation, presenting them with the state of facts and all of that, and indicating that you'd like to work with the road commission to modify the order. And that modification could take any number of forms. I mean, you could limit the amount of traffic, the amount of trucks over a certain weight. I mean, gravel trucks are very, very heavy, extraordinarily heavy, and you could try to limit the number of trucks on that road. Or, as mentioned, probably the best solution, and I don't know how long this gravel operation is going to continue. Looking at it with the aerial photograph online, I mean, it looks like it's had quite a bit of mining done already. And so I don't know what their inventory of resources left on that property is. And of course, that would be one of the relevant things to determine in an investigation to find out how much effort you should make depending upon how much longer they're going to be in business. But if they're going to be in business for a longer time, then paving that road is not out of the question. And I'm not suggesting that the township should pay for it. The court order basically contemplates the operator of that gravel pit paying money to maintain the road. Now, it seems from this testimony and so forth that we've heard so far, and I'm just, to some degree, speculating, of course, because I don't know all the facts, but it seems to me that the road as it's currently maintained, obviously, is not maintained adequately. And it may not be feasible to maintain it adequately with all the traffic on it, and particularly all the trucks that are passing over it. It may require paving. And I would suggest that the road commission would have the authority to lean on that gravel operator to do the paving, to finance the paving. Now, it's possible that the township could assist in that process by, again, if the process, if operation is going to continue for a long time, the township may assist by issuing a special assessment, creating a special assessment, and then bonding, paving the road, and then the gravel operator could pay a certain amount each year in installments to pay off the bond. And that, may well be the best solution to this situation. Now, if the road commission won't cooperate, that then would kind of put you, you'd have to shift gears and go back to court. And you'd be able to tell the court that you were trying to achieve the road commission's cooperation and haven't been able to get it. And here are the conditions that essentially sound to me like public nuisance conditions, which are like, the worst thing known to mankind. And so you'd be able to ask the court to amend the order to require the road commission to have them pave the road and offer the township's cooperation in the financing process with a special assessment. So, without the paving, it seems to me that you're allowing this operation to take people's property away from them. And although I don't know all the details, but it sounds like that. And when inadequate regulation and control occurs, and people are allowed to do that gives rise to the opportunity for a court to step in and take charge of it. But as I said, it's been 20+ years, and conditions have apparently changed, and the current situation is conditions are unbearable. So, people can't go outside at their homes and things like that, and there have been fatal accidents. It's worth pursuing. And so, my suggestion is to, number one, find an appropriate expert that shouldn't, cause the township to go broke, and then formulate a position, and your position may be in the form of an amended ordinance 38 for Hogan Road. And there are other townships in the state that have passed ordinances for pass-through roads. And so that's really what this would amount to, is that the road commission, and that's one of the reasons why you have a road commission, because it cuts across all of the the political boundaries of townships, and they should be the peacekeeper and problem solver in a situation like this. So number one is, get a good expert to do research and whatnot to put together a package, maybe an amended ordinance 38 or something else, and take that to the road commission, see if you can get a deal with the road commission. Undoubtedly, you want the gravel operator to sit at the table at some point in time, and then if that doesn't work, then go back to court to modify that order. That's basically my recommendation on this situation.
Mr. Fisher, maybe I'm naive for asking this, what kind of expert are we looking for, and what kind of studies should we be asking for?
Well, I would say like an expert planner that, that deals with community planning and community conditions. They'd be the same kind of expert. And you have an expert already, as far as I can tell, planning expert that I've seen at some of your other meetings. They would be the type of expert that would give you recommendations if you had a new proposed gravel mine. What would the conditions be for authorizing this a gravel mining operation using the haul route? What kind of conditions would be placed on the use of the haul route? And that's a traditional community planning function.
We also need like environmental impact studies and data of that nature.
I think I would try to just work with the planner first, and the planner may say we need it, but I don't know all the conditions to know for sure that an environmental impact study is needed. But it's possible. I'm certainly not saying that you don't need it, but I think working with the planner first would be important.
I think it's been said in the past too that we can't regulate here because the gravel mine is located in another community. And what I'm hearing you say is our township does have the right to some degree to regulate a pass-through route in collaboration with the road commission. Is that correct?
That's correct. And when you think about it, the two things that I have to say about that, number one would be, when an application is made for gravel mining, it's made to the community where the gravel pit is located. But it's obvious that part of the consideration by statute and just about all ordinances is that you have to look at the haul route. Well, the haul route doesn't end at township lines, and so that is something that is must be addressed, and the entity to address it would be the township that is being impacted. The other part of that is that number two is that in the 2002 consent judgment, both townships are parties, and so that's already something that's been recognized.
Does anyone else have questions?
Nope, not for him, I did for Greg.
Mr. Fisher, this is Chris again. Is there something else I have on my notes was about to ask you about the engineering of the road, the capability to handle the kind of traffic that's there today, and we have a bridge involved that goes over a creek. We have, the foundations of the road as to playing a role over the years to whether that can handle. Is this something we would have to also engage an engineering firm that would help us to understand?
Well, in my opinion, and I, again, I don't know all the facts, but my opinion is that if you were able to make an adequate case that this road is inadequate now and needs to be modified and hopefully paved, then the engineer that would create the specifications for the paving or improvement would do that study.
Okay.
So, Mr. Fisher, in an effort to get the ball rolling on this, I guess I'm looking for a motion to get the ball rolling with the planning, with our planning engineer, or what's your recommendation here?
Yeah, you're a township planner, and I can't remember what the firm is.
The McKenna.
Yeah, McKenna, and I, just by coincidence, I was working with a planner from McKenna today, and I know that, and I worked with the McKenna firm for many years, is they have a lot of experts in various areas. And, you know, the planner that might attend your meetings could have all the expertise in the world that you need.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there may be other planners in that firm that could be identified that would be, you know, the best person to work on something like this that it involves impact on roads.
All right.
So I mean, and I would talk to the you know, the person that is your representative.
And this is a planning commission function, that we would engage them and have this done through the planning commission, do you think? Or
No,
is this at the
I
board
don't think
level
so.
still? Okay.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, I mean, the planning commission is really, in my experience, you know, designed to deal with creating ordinances and reviewing plans and, you know, master plans, creating master plan and reviewing development proposals to make sure that they comply with the master plan and ordinances. And really, this is really an after-the-fact problem-solving adventure here that is more suited to the township board.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I'll make a motion to engage McKenna to help us.
Yeah, and I will reach out to them, McKenna, to get the ball rolling. If you guys want me to.
I'll second that motion, yeah.
In that correspondence, can we ask him to include some kind of cost estimate too, just so we know when we discuss it again, what the scope of what we're asking them to do and what it's gonna cost?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, well,
We have to go through requirements and everything, but that's absolutely appropriate to see if they can
absolutely, we're gonna
they
have
can
to, but let's,
give us that. So.
you know,
I think this motion is just to engage
just to
them.
get stuff
Just to get
started.
Engage them,
This
get
is
the
not to
conversation
spend
started,
any
right?
money yet.
Yeah,
I mean,
at least that's what I understood.
yeah,
But because they may not want to do such a thing, so, you know, at least
Exactly.
begin the conversation and
Okay.
see what they
So we
think.
have-
so I have a motion.
I'd be happy to participate in a conference call or Zoom call or something when you talk to McKenna so that I can help put this into context.
That'd be great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
All right, so I have a motion and I have a second.
I want to ask Chuck a question before. Chuck, we had this brought up before on the last board. I mean, there was things that we tried to do. We listened to the residents. Mike talked to the road commission. What can we do? How come we didn't do it then? What happens now that we can do something?
There's no guarantee that anything's going to change, even when you do the study. If you do the
Can you
study,
speak into the microphone, please?
there's no guarantee that anything's going to change, even if you do this study and it comes back with some really inflammatory information. However, if you don't have a study, you have no chance, because you can't just go into the court and say, we've changed our mind. That court order that was entered in 2002 was a consent order to Deerfield Township, the Road Commission, Tyrone Township, and the gravel operator at the time. So if we don't go into court with something, we have nothing. Your best case scenario would be to have a study and then to get all of the parties that are to that consent order agree to whatever changes we want. You got to understand that if what we want to happen negatively impacts Deerfield Township, they aren't going to agree to it. You got to believe that if what we want is going to put a strain on the road commission's budget, they're going to fight it. But if you don't do the study, you have no chance to get things done by going to the court. You do the study, if you have powerful things, if there's things that you can get Deerfield Township to agree to, the county to agree to, perhaps you can do it by consent. But to have the order just simply changed because, it's not going to happen.
Okay, so what was the motion?
Motion was to engage McKenna to start the discussion about this topic. About the truck route specifically. Yeah.
Hogan Road.
Hogan Road truck route.
Yes,
Correct. And we have a second?
correct. Yes, I second.
So we don't need to do a roll call here, we're not spending any money, so. I'm just gonna, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All right.
Can we let Mr. Fisher go if he
Thank you,
needs to?
Mr. Fisher.
What do you
Yes,
think?
yes.
Mr. Fisher, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
We'll
my pleasure.
we'll be reaching back out to you once we get something going with McKenna. Once I
Okay,
get
sounds good.
something.
I know Ross knows just how to get a hold of me, and,
Yep.
it's been a pleasure working with you tonight.
All right,
Thanks, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
All right. Moving on to business item number 3, which is the resolution to establish the guidelines for poverty exemption on the property tax. Basically, I looked at this with Alexa, and what we have done in the past is we have typically just followed the federal guidelines and increased the poverty dollar amount by what they do. So, I mean, other than that, I don't believe there's any other changes to this document. Any questions?
Nope.
This is something that's done on an annual basis.
Yeah.
I have some questions, sorry,
No, it's fine.
if I may. Do we know how many poverty exemptions we have today?
One.
We have one.
One.
So there's only.
Hang on. Alexa?
Yep.
Since I've been here, there's been one applicant who applies every year who is qualified and granted.
You should probably come up and talk in the mic so that, I know. I know, I'm sorry.
That'll teach you to speak up.
So that the video audience can hear you.
We've had one applicant that applies every year who qualifies, who's been granted it. Over the years, there have been maybe 3 applicants who have just been way, way higher and were denied, so.
Do we know if there's, I mean, that sounds really low, especially even for our community of 12,000 people. It seems like we might have more people out there, I would imagine, but,
I don't even get a lot of inquiries about it.
and we don't advertise though, right? It's not
I mean,
something
it's
we.
on our website, we
Okay,
do the
yeah.
resolution every year.
Is there a relationship to the delinquencies, tax delinquencies in the township? Or do any of those
No.
come through hardship delinquencies or
No, that's
for anything like that?
separate.
I was just wondering because if somebody is delinquent in their tax payment, I would imagine there's probably some compelling reason, and if it was financial loss of a job or other things, that could qualify somebody for a
I mean,
poverty
those people can
exemption.
apply for it,
Yeah.
but
Okay. And have we ever done a comparison to other townships like us in the area as far as where we are with the federal minimum exemption and stuff that's in the chart?
I've talked to other assessors and I've looked at other municipalities in the area, and we're pretty much in line with what our neighboring units do.
Have we ever, so we're just taking a minimum on the federal minimum as far as the poverty level is
Yeah, we're using the
concerned.
federal income guidelines.
Right, okay. And we have the ability, though, to raise that if we felt like we should in the township,
We
right?
could.
I mean, there's not a law that says that we would
No, it
have to.
just can't be lower than the federal.
Just can't be lower than the
Yeah.
federal, okay. So we're taking the baseline, which means, I think it was 14,000 something for one person in a house. And 15, or something around that, yeah.
Yep.
60.
Okay.
Yep.
So, okay. All right, I just, that's helpful, because this is my first time dealing with the poverty exemption. And I would hope that we could, I would hope we could market this a little better. It seems like, I was on the campaign trail talking to veterans who own homes and other things
Disabled
that,
veterans, they can apply.
Well, of
for
course,
an
but-
exemption as well, that's something
but
separate.
knowing that and knowing, putting it on the website's a great step, don't get me wrong. But just being able to communicate these things maybe in a newsletter or things like that people are getting could be an advance this. I'm not trying to say that, I'm hoping we don't look at, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because we're in hard economic times right now. This country in the last 4 years has been
I know.
brutalized economically, and anything we can do for our residents to get out the message that if you are suffering hard times because of a job loss or other things, which a lot of people are, they may be able to take advantage of this for a period of time until they come off that poverty exemption criteria. And that's why that's the only reason I'm asking all these other questions, because I'm curious to see if there's something we could do as a township to help the residents that may qualify, that haven't come forward yet.
Yeah, if you guys want to put it in the newsletter.
Anything we could do.
Yeah.
Most individuals in general, when you look at this poverty level and what they're eligible for, they understand what they're eligible for. If they're on assistance through the state, this is something they're familiar with. So it is out there, it's not, a secret. But in relation to what you were asking Mr. Repetto about numbers and helping more, if you look at it on this chart, for a family of 8, the income is $52,720. So in our area, there aren't many households, even with 1 or 2, that are at that income level. So I guess I'm just trying to explain to you that is why we only have one individual. But I think what Alexa was trying to say with the vets, that's a separate, right?
No,
A
I'm very
separate
familiar
thing.
with the Michigan
Yeah.
State
Yeah.
veterans, and I've talked to a number of
Yeah.
people that take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But there are also veterans who are disabled after the war, which don't qualify for it, but still are
Right.
paying taxes here, and that might be
Right.
burdened with extra road things because their neighborhood got paved and other things that
Sure,
their
sure.
sustenance may not, and they don't know about it, because when I talk to them, they don't know. So that's why I'm just, I don't want to make the assumption, and if there's 2 residents or 1 resident out there that could be helped by this,
Sure.
is there a way to be able to have some public service announcement during these tough economic
Right.
times to help that out?
We can
So
promote it,
that's,
we can find different ways to promote it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
that,
not an
you know,
issue, yeah.
Start by emailing our township email list, and then they could tell their neighbors or things like that. These are all ways that we could really get the word out quickly
Right.
and effectively with the tools that we have right now. That wouldn't really be costly, so.
But you brought up emailing residents, so we do have a limit on how many emails we can send out. So
Why?
just so you're aware,
Why?
because we pay for
Right,
X number, and so we when we send out an email blast, you know, we have to be mindful of that.
Well, all I'm saying is it may be a good
Yeah.
time to revisit how many email blasts we're allowed to,
Well, we could.
for these
we
kinds
could.
of things.
Yeah,
I don't
we
want to
get
use
different
that
prices.
cost. I mean, if it costs us an
Right.
extra $100 to communicate this important program to our residents so that they can tell, you know, they may not have email, but they may have a neighbor that they could walk over and say, hey, look, I just heard about this program.
Sure.
That would be my hopeful intention with that level of communication, so.
Right, well, I just wanted you to know that there's things we have to
Of
change
course,
as a
of
board
course,
then.
yeah.
You know, if you want to add things.
Yeah, let's
that
do
those
it.
are things to discuss.
Could you be able to tell us what it would cost to have?
Well, I'd
an-
have to get
in-
quotes,
Right,
you know, on
increase in email out that, for more frequent emails
Yeah.
of programs like this as one mechanism to do it.
Right.
If there's a cost added to the newsletter, that's a
Right.
quarter, or what, through their tax, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
You guys have more experience than that on how we're communicating, but these might be good ideas.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Thanks,
Alexa.
Alexa.
All right. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the,
I make a motion.
A motion to resolve?
Yep.
To establish guidelines for granting poverty exemptions from property taxes.
thank
So
you.
we have to have a roll call.
Someone has to
So
second
second it
it.
first.
I'll second
I'll
it.
second it.
Okay. All right. And,
And now we'll have a roll call. Herm Ferguson,
Yes.
Brett Carnes,
yes,
Jennifer Eden, absent. Sarah Dolman, Jersey.
Yes.
Dean Hawes,
Yes.
Chris Repetta,
Yes.
Pam Moffler, yes.
all right, the last item on our agenda is, for new business, is number 4, the quotes for carpet cleaning in the meeting room. I guess I'll let you take over, Pam, here. You received,
Yep, we have 3 quotes. One from Annie's Carpet Clean for $835.35. One from Crystal Clean Carpet Care for $342.20. Then we have one from Fenton Carpet Cleaning for $450,
What was the one we used before?
just under $500. So the cost for us to post this was $75, you know, to advertise that.
So you used the middle one before we have for this room right here, correct?
Which one was that?
The middle one. Yeah,
Crystal Clean?
No, we used Modernistic. They didn't put a bid in this.
Oh, they didn't put a bid in.
Because they wouldn't see the bid in our local newspaper or on our website, a larger company like that. Typically, we don't put anything under $500 out for bid. But the board decided to put it out for bid, and that's why I mentioned it was $75 it cost
Yeah.
us
Sure.
to put that out.
But this way, we did get somebody local that's right here in town, right? Is that, these 3 are local Fenton area, or no?
Well-
I'm curious.
one's in Fenton, one's in Grand Blanc, and I'm not sure where Crystal, where is Crystal?
They're not local.
They're not?
Okay.
No, no, and so for like the Fenton carpet cleaning, it says $450. So it's $50 cheaper, however, we actually would spend $25 more after publishing versus if I had just contacted Modernistic and said, hey, come in. You know, so in the
How much was
future,
modernistic?
just under 500.
So Fenton carpet cleaning is $450.
Right, plus it costs us $75.
So next time, we could probably just get Fenton carpet to do it. And they're cheaper than modernistic?
$50 cheaper. But we haven't had them, so we don't know what.
Well, I have,
You know.
they do a great job.
You know.
I know
You know,
people
we'll
that
have to
use them.
see, you know. You know, it's up. I think
Well-
I think we should go with Fenton Carpet Cleaning. That's the one in the middle.
Yeah.
The 835 is a bit too high. The other one, I mean, ultimately, your guys' goal was to find someone local. So this other one is not local, so that's off the list, so that leaves Fenton Carpet Cleaning.
I make a motion, we accept Fenton Carpet.
Okay. I'll second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right. Number 5 is off, so I'm going to move into miscellaneous business. Do we have anything?
Nope.
All right, then I'll go to the last public remarks here. Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. I want to get to this workshop for the board members. And we're going to go back to the planning commission where this all went down. You guys, you three guys, I mean, you didn't work together. I mean, I was very disgusted with what happened that night. And when I was heading out the door, Greg, when you went back in your office, and Chris, you were heading out the door after you guys, you know, it just, the way it went down, and I even told you, Chris, you better get in there, there's gonna be a lawsuit. Since then, it's been nothing but, there's been admissions, there's been doubling down, a newspaper article saying that you guys all discussed it, but Greg put the letter out. So I mean, more and more I hear, it just keeps incriminating you even more. And now I'm here tonight, we're gonna get sued, and then we get blackmailed that if you don't drop the censor, if you would have dropped the censure, you'd vote for it, the training. So I mean, this is,
That's not what I
it's
said.
just, no, that's what you said. You said,
I said if you would have been willing to discuss.
okay, whatever, it just sounds,
Big
it still
big
sounds like it
difference.
to me. Okay, it still didn't sound good.
Just let him go.
Yeah, let me talk. So anyways, how do you work together? You guys, it wasn't bad enough that you did that. I was upset about that. But then you went to talk to the attorney that we hired for solar. A solar attorney. You talked, yeah, you did. Okay, well, that's what I heard. So anyways.
Scott, careful.
Okay, anyways, I'm just
careful.
okay, be careful, that's right.
That's all I'm saying.
That's
Careful.
right. Okay, Greg, but you did admit.
Careful.
You did admit the last meeting that you reached out to that same law firm for some guidance on an issue that he's contracted to do. You did acknowledge that. So this stuff's going on. So if you guys are going to keep doing this stuff, you need the training. I mean, not only did you leave the 4 people out when you did this, the other board members, you left the community out. The Opens Meeting Act is for us also. You understand that? It's not just for 3 against 4. It's for us, so we can get some input, and we know what's going on. 3 guys doing this stuff on the side ain't gonna help us. So yes, I think there's some kind of training. You always need training. To deny it, I mean, I don't wanna see more lawsuits. We can't afford it here. We got too many lawsuits now. Take responsibility for what the past and get this behind you. I mean, it just looks bad. I mean, I've been on juries before, and from what I've seen in the film and what I've seen this, I'd say you did it.
Okay.
Can I say 2 things? 2 topics on Hogan Road?
Sure.
Sure, okay. Kevin Pierce from Hogan Road. I've been on Hogan Road getting close to 12 years, and I've came down to the township enough times to where I was told I wasn't welcome here anymore. So I've been complaining a little bit about it. So here's the story. I went to Deerfield Township to try to get some information on the pit being spring aggregate versus GBM, which is the current resider. And she openly give me the special land use permit for GBM, and how the road went through, and the clerks, or the deputy clerk over there, told me the process of it. So the road was set up, just so everybody knows this, when we get further down the road, and I'm really appreciative that we're moving in a forward direction on this. But the road was set up for 39 trucks a day to go down. And now the road is set up for 150 a day, a maximum of 350 a week. And it's totally up to GBM to regulate that. So in combination with that, we have 403 houses in Tyrone Woods, which puts a pretty big strain on it too. So the recourse is to dump calcium chloride on the road relentlessly to get rid of the dust, but it doesn't do anything with everything else. So that's a huge topic that we need to talk about, because calcium chloride is pretty harmful to a number of different things. And I went to the planning meeting last week, and I was the one talking, and I was floored when Mr. Fisher started talking about the new extraction sites. If they did this and they did that, they did different things to dust, to ecological changes, so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, where did this guy come from? He's saying exactly what's happening to the one that's existing. So I don't see that there's a problem with tightening up our belt on the man that's coming down our road 300 times a day. So I said the legal limit for him, which he's the police, on his pit, 150 a day. And the main topic that the attorney here said, Fisher said, that they're only allowed to do sand and gravel. Well, just so you know, in the last year and a half, coming the other direction from the pit has been asphalt and concrete. And that goes the different direction, and it gets mined at the pit, and then it gets sold, and it comes back the other direction. So when he talks about the company using up all the material at the site, he's almost there on those two sections, but he has another 80 acres to do after this one. So he's going to be there a long time.
All right.
Can I do one more? It's just a short one. It's about the sewer plant on Hogan Road. The sewer plant has been broken for 20 weeks. I have a $1,000 a year bill for the sewer plant, plus it cost me $25,000 to get hooked up to the system. When you turn onto Hogan Road, and I feel sorry for Pam because she's right close to there, it's an ungodly smell, and it's been there broken for 20 weeks. And I know this because the gentleman that maintains that building told me that the carbon filters are broken and they're waiting on them. So when you go down past there with your window open, even tonight, it's -3 right now, be sure you have your windows up, because it's an ungodly smell that you'll take all the way to your house. It takes 15 minutes for your body to regulate to a new smell. So the people that live across the street might not smell it so much.
All right, well, it's the first I've heard the sewer was broken, carbon fiber, so let me look.
They've been working on it.
Okay.
Putting in new equipment and stuff, but we'll talk later.
Okay, all right. Is there anybody else? Yeah.
Follow protocol here. Ted Mercer, Hogan Road. On a different note, I'd just like to say thank you to this current board for pushing this item down the road further than we've been able to do in 8 years, that we've been throwing ourselves up against a brick wall. So even just getting a study done is light years ahead of where we've come so far. And the second point that I'd like to make is I think it's critically important. I'm not speaking for everybody on Hogan Road, but I've spoken to a lot of people on Hogan Road, and I don't think that anybody has an expectation of it getting paved. I don't think that anybody wants to cost the township or even the road commission. And the last administration, I've heard from $2.5 million to $6 million, whatever number you want to pick. It got bigger as we asked. But the point being, We bought a house on a dirt road. We're perfectly fine with living on a dirt road. What we didn't buy is a house on a residential road that is turned into an industrial driveway. So I know a lot of you know what's going on. I just want to say I appreciate you working on it. We've been killing ourselves trying to get things done. And I've certainly talked to attorneys and stuff like that, but the bottom line is it's going to have to be the township board working with the road commission. We always just wanted to have the road declassified as a truck route. As it's been said before, there's many other truck routes and they're paved. It would cause GBM to reroute their traffic, and we have no malice against GBM, but we just don't want to deal with your daily stuff. As Kevin says, you can't come out of your driveway. And when you do, you can't see for 10 minutes. So it's just a remarkable thing. You'll see it when you look at that video. And there's also a PowerPoint, as I told Chris when I gave it to him, that we wanted to present to the board in the past. And we were just said, yeah, we know it's a problem, no need. So please, if you need a point person, when you talk to this person that's going to investigate, by all means, we will feed them, we will clothe them, we will house them. They can move in for a while. So we'll help in any way we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted. All right. Anybody else? All right.
Jeanette.
Oh. Didn't see you waving your face.
Sorry, my hand's full. Jeanette Ropetta. The Hogan Road thing, I'm so glad that you guys are listening, and I will just say, just confirm what Ted has said. I've been here for a few years and asked over and over again with the last administration, and we're basically told that nothing could be done. I'll go review the video minutes, but I know that that's what people were told. And we also had legal representation sitting here too that agreed with the last supervisor. I do want to talk about transparency. And tomorrow night is the next Planning Commission workshop. It's scheduled for 6:00 p.m. It's been on the township's calendar for several months when you put your meetings out there, probably for almost a year. And even at last week's Planning Commission meeting, they discussed the workshop coming up tomorrow night and mentioned they already knew what would be on the agenda. So it's clear this workshop and its topics were known to the Planning Commission well in advance of today. Meanwhile, there's been a lot of talk about transparency under this administration, and the clerk has emphasized the importance of finalizing agendas and avoiding last-minute changes. Well, guess what? Despite knowing the agenda items last week, must have known what was going to be on it, the agenda was not released to the public until this afternoon at 3:15 p.m. Is this enough time for residents to prepare for a meeting that could affect their property use, their property values, the health of their families and animals, and the environment? Is this what you call transparency? So my point is, you had the agenda items. Today you release the agenda and you say, but there's no packet. So you've had that agenda. Who's responsible for ensuring the documentation is submitted on time for the agenda? And if there's a strict deadline for agenda submissions, someone didn't meet it. So who's accountable for that? I'm requesting that you cancel the meeting for tomorrow night, and this is the reason why. I hate to see meetings being canceled. But you didn't follow your own rules about transparency and deadlines, and the short notice does not give residents enough time to review the documentation or prepare for the agenda items. Even if you release the missing documentation tomorrow morning, that still isn't enough time for residents to engage meaningfully, and many residents may not even realize there's a meeting because you didn't announce it until late this afternoon. So I would request that you do that. I think that's only fair, and it's in alignment with everything else that you've talked about, transparency. And another thing that people need to know why Hogan Road is concerned, one of the other things that they're concerned about, many people don't know, that the Planning Commission is looking to add another 160 acres to the solar overlay map. And that's going to be right on Hogan Road. It will be on both sides of Linden Road. And that traffic and that the construction, everything is going to impact Hogan Road even more. So now the residents should know, and this is what's on the agenda tomorrow night, is looking at even more land that's south of there. People need to know what's on this agenda. They don't know, and I'm asking you, in light of transparency, to be fair, cancel the meeting for tomorrow night. Thank you.
That's fine. Let's do that, in case somebody else
I
wants.
hope that you guys will discuss this, because that's the
Is there-
transparency you're
Is there anybody else? Nobody else? All right. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Chuck, thank you. Have a safe drive home. Hey, stop at have any snowball fights along the way, okay? You tried it?
I haven't. When I get
Oh, that would be,
planning and zoning.
that would
You
be,
need to understand that. And you cannot sit here and let me be attending to stuff that I'm not doing.
Hey, Michael. How are ya? I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm a joke shop.